All right, guys, what's up? Let me get this thing off my chest real quick. What's up? So the main focus of today's video is how to change out your rotors on 2005 Dodge Dakota, and many of the principles here apply to several other different types of vehicles. I know my Cavalier, totally different vehicle that I used to have. Some of the same principles apply as far as the mechanics and the basics of how this works. So basics for as far as like the tools and equipment, as you can see, it's pretty humid and hot out here in wonderful North Carolina. Stuff you really need: a jack that's rated for the size of your vehicle. You need a jack stand. You definitely need a wheel block, and because this is as far as this vehicle itself, rear-wheel drive truck, I always put the parking brake on, block the wheel on the opposite side of which I'm working, because I don't want it moving at all when I jack it up, because that'd be really scary. You don't need an air compressor, though air tools are really helpful in these situations. If you have a really good tire iron, you'll be set as long as you can get it up high enough. You definitely need PB blaster. You don't need an impact wrench. You definitely need a torque wrench, and a good torque wrench at that. Something that can do 50 to 250 pounds, because the axle nut is what you need to get down. On this truck specifically, it's 185 foot-pounds, and on other vehicles it's really high as well. So other vehicles, you might not have to get a torque wrench that's as heavy duty as this, but you definitely need to get a heavy duty torque wrench, because that pressure is really important. So this is a must-have. You're gonna need something to pry that piston back with in the caliper. You'll see in a minute, but something like a flathead screwdriver, pretty easy, pretty simple. You're gonna need something to hold up that brake caliper while you're in there working, because you don't want it to hang by the brake line. You'll also see that in a minute. This is something that most amateur and novice people who work on their own vehicles can take care of in a parking lot. So, all right, guys, so like I said, those are kind of the things. Those are some of the things you need. There's, some of the things you don't need to have out here, but make things a little bit easier. So we're gonna break these lug nuts loose real quick before we raise it up, which is a very important thing you need to remember when you're doing this work. The lug size on this truck is 13/16, I believe. 13/16. I know this one is 13/16. Stinking chrome lug nuts. I understand the concept, so I'm gonna kind of go on about, on a tangent. Some people like to do in their videos. I don't agree with the chrome lug nuts, because sometimes people put air tools on them, make them really hard to get off. They mess up the tops of them. And I'm talking to mostly people who are mechanics, who work in dealerships and at shops that do bad work. Make it really hard for people like me who want to just go home and take a lug nut off, or 6 or 5, and kind of take care of some of these maintenance things myself. So when I get to doing it, I find out that, oh, this part's messed up, this part's messed up, because some genius at a shop wanted to just wrench down with their air tool. Oh, that ain't coming off. I'll put it down 200 foot-pounds. Yeah, no. Don't be that guy. You'll piss off people like me. So that's exactly why I loosen stuff by hand at first. Then I use this to make it a little easier for me to get it off. So, you know, it's a little thing to note. This bit back here, this is when you guys are going to want to have your little, it can be a coat hanger, it can be a strap, it can be a really heavy duty bungee cord. I don't care, as long as it's something that you trust in to hold up this brake caliper, because if it falls, like, you might as well kiss your little easy job that you were thinking you were going to be doing goodbye. And yeah, don't let this bit fall. It's just a bad thing. So first, what we're going to do, which I'm going to maybe skip through a little bit on this video, is there is, because you guys are going to have a really hard time seeing it, back in here, as you can see. So let me get my little flathead in here. And there's a rubber boot right here that I got my thing on. The next metal bit over is the piston, is the head of that piston, and you want to put your flathead right on the top of that and then push back. Don't like yank, but you know, just kind of let it do its thing nice and easy, so you don't break the flathead screwdriver while you're doing it. We're gonna start loosening up these bolts right here that go into the brake caliper. These, it's really important to remember, these are only held down with 22 foot-pounds. A very, very, very low amount of pressure holds these in, and it is for a reason, because they don't need a whole lot in order to function. All right. These oh God, and yeah, for the love of everything that's wonderful in this world, don't lose these. So they don't need a lot to function. Like I said, now that it's loose, it should get a little bit easier. Push that piston back inside where it came from. It's still gonna take you guys a few minutes to do this, especially if you're not used to it, because these pistons, you know, they hold a lot of pressure. Now when you get back in your vehicle, it's always a good idea to kind of pump your brakes up a little bit. So I think we're almost loose enough here, but you want to make sure that you're going to put that new rotor on, right? That new rotor is going to be thicker than the old one, so you really want to make sure you've got that piston back in there as far as you can get it, almost, or really, you know, almost so far that it just, yep, comes off right like that. So this is when you need your strap, whatever. I've done this a few times, so it's not like new to me, but for somebody new, it's gonna It'll take you a minute to really kind of get a feel for it now. And you're going to want to put this up against, you know, it's not a bad idea to set it up here for the moment, but don't take your hand off it by any means. So you might could fix up something like that. So you gotta be thinking about ways to really secure this up here. So I'm gonna go through one of these spots in the caliper and go through the upper control arm and down. And then while I keep my hand, my left hand has positive control of this brake caliper right now, because you don't want it to fall at all. You find your end here, and some people would probably say a bungee cord would be a little bit easier, but I like this because it's really secure. You don't have to worry about it going anywhere. All right. Alright, so that's not gonna fall. I could do another one. Something to keep it from falling down. Let's take all this extra, throw it up here. All right, so your next big obstacle, well, after you take your brake pads off, brake pad inspection looks really good. They're Duralast. Try to keep all your pieces you take off kind of together. They should really just kind of pop out because they slide into these grooves right here and here, and the caliper just kind of keeps them together when it's around it. Nothing to worry about the ease of those coming off. So here's your bracket, and then you've got this bolt right here and this one right here that holds this bracket on. So these two are 13/16, same size as the lug nuts. All right, so these hold the bracket on. Okay, one more thing before I get too ahead of myself. Something you really got to do before you delve into the bracket is the axle nut. Okay, so we almost kind of forgot about that, which would have been bad. Shake up your PV blaster. You know, hopefully it's not seemingly as empty as mine is. So let that sit for a second. One thing my bad, I forgot to mention, probably the only other thing I forgot to mention to you guys that you'll need is a 35 millimeter deep well axle nut socket. All right, and this all this part up until now, this is all just to do a damn rotor on this truck. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass, but I can do it in a decent amount of time. You're going to want to crank your torque wrench or whatever wrench you've got. If you're using a torque wrench to get this thing off, because I'm using a torque wrench to get this thing off because mine goes really high as far as torque goes, so I can actually use this wrench to take off stuff too, like this. But if you're just using a regular tire iron, probably be all right as long as it fits on. So that's to the right. So this one's like the other one. Yeah, this one, it was really loose. I should be able to just, oh shit, hold on. One more thing. When you do this, put your screwdriver in the one of the slots inside of this thing. What the hell? Turn it to the left. This one might. I got a feeling that's a little bit loose. Yeah, it's not supposed to be that loose either. Whoever put on the axle nuts on this truck last time they changed the rotors or something did not tighten them down to 185. This little nut needs to be down at 185 foot-pounds. Put all your stuff, tools and things back where you found them. I'm about to go in and get a damn water because it's hot out here. Hydration is important. So I'm gonna hit this up with the air tool. If the air tool can't get it off, I'm gonna hit it up with the DeWalt. If the DeWalt can't get it off, I'm gonna try with my tire iron. Hydration is important, people. Very important. So you get that wheel block good underneath that tire in case it slides a little bit. Oh man, very important. All right, so I might have to get up underneath here and whatnot, but we'll see if we can avoid doing that. Double check these things real quick. To be honest, I really think my DeWalt has more power than my air tool. I looked up the specifications for the kind that I have, and it said 117 foot-pounds, and I really don't think that this air tool gets up to 117, especially since the air compressor only does 110. It's in reverse, and it's on the highest setting. We'll see how this goes. Couldn't get nothing to break it free. Whew. The sun's right in my eyes today, bro. Oh yeah. How come that came out when I did that? Shit. Maybe it just needs a big old wrench on it. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense either. All right, so I got underneath it with my torque wrench, and either the other two loosened it up enough, or the more leverage the better. I don't know. It could be a combination of the two. All right, now remember when you guys take the second one out, this bracket will fall down if you don't hold it. So 13/16. All right, now if all you guys are here to do is replace your rotor, then bam, your mission complete. All right, you can put your old one down, put your new one on, and you're good to go. All right, but I'm really trying to see if I can replace this wheel hub, because I think it's bad. I kind of want to see if the new ones I got have studs, lug studs in them as well. So we're going to take a brief pause as this portion, and this is the main focus of this whole video has been complete. All you got to do is put that rotor, your rotor on, put your bracket back on the same way you took it off, put your brake caliper on, or put your brake pads on, put your brake caliper on. You do the whole thing in reverse. That's how you do a rotor. It's my little outro, because as it's pouring down rain. That's how you do a rotor on a 2005 Dodge Dakota, similar for other vehicles. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more information on how to do the wheel hub assembly, probably on a better day. But I'll talk to you guys, see you guys later. I'm gonna sign out. Bye.